call this meeting of the SAM Board of Directors for December 28th to order. What did I say? December 28th to order.
All the months look alike to me.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, Director Penrose.
Here.
Director Clark.
Here.
Director Lohman.
Here.
Director Radek.
Here.
Vice Chair Dye.
Here.
Chair Slater Carter, not yet logged in. We have a quorum, we can get started.
All right. Do we have any comments from members of the public for items not on the agenda?
I'm just checking my email to make sure if anybody, no, I haven't received any public comments on email, neither has anybody around here to do that. So I guess it's none.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I have a requested revision to the December 14th minutes. The way they read right now, it sounds we're under the monthly managers report. It says Director Dye-Stage has many questions regarding the issues going on at the plant. She would like to discuss them with staff. I would actually prefer, because that makes it sound like I was, wanting to sort of, I don't know, second guess or whatever, which I didn't. I just would like, could we change it to say she would like to understand what is happening, and you could say staff invited her to visit the plant to get her questions answered or something like that. Can we make it sound a little less like?
Got it. So that, yeah, shouldn't look like you were questioning the issues, but you wanted more information.
I just wanted to understand what was going on. Not, I wasn't trying to have a discussion with staff about the things that were going on.
No problem. We can change the minutes.
All qualified to do that. So,
yeah.
Right.
We can change the minutes to address that and bring it back to the next meeting.
What you could do is you could just amend, just that approve the minutes as amended.
Or as revised.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So moved. So we're approving the minutes of December 11th, approving the minutes of December 14th as revised or amended, and the disbursements and the monthly revenue and expense report, correct? All right. I
move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second. I'd like to make one comment.
Yes.
Which is that once again under 3B, there's a section of that called aging accounts. And once again, GCSD is shown as owing over $28,000 to SAM for more than 120 days. Every time I see this, I ask our assistant general manager, who also does the accounts, if it's true, and it's never true. And she's been trying to get this straightened out for over 2 years. And so I will respectfully request that either this be proven or to her satisfaction, or that it be dropped off every single month. Thank you.
Okay, noted. We have Maze working on that, and they've actually started with MWST, then they're going to move on to the GTSC, and thereafter to HMB. So we would soon be making sure that everything will be current.
Thank you.
So there's a motion and a second, correct?
Yes.
Do I need to modify the motion at all to take care of Matthew's issues, or is it okay?
What would be what would address your issue, Senator Clark?
I think petition just did.
Okay.
So it'd be motion would be approve the consent calendar subject to the revisions request as to the minutes and the revisions request as to the disbursements. Theoretically, we should pull this off consent, but just to keep this simple, we can just keep it on there, absent no objections, and have the vote.
Should we add a comment somewhere in the minutes?
Well, they would be in the minutes. The approval would be subject to the revisions. So I guess there's, just to clarify here, so who made the motion to approve?
Rick,
Okay, so Director Lohman, would you do a friendly amendment to your motion to include the revisions to both 3A and 3B?
I agree to that and so move again.
Okay, and so the second was Director Penrose?
yes.
Okay, and you agree as well? It sounds like yes. Okay, so you got a motion and a second that captures what the board just discussed.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Director Penrose,
Yes.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Lohman,
Yes.
Director Radek,
Yes.
Director Dye. Director Dye, you're muted.
Yes. Yes.
Chair Slater Carter,
Of course, yes.
motion passed.
Good. All right, moving right along here, and we are at the, trying to see it, regular business. There's only one item. Item 4A, authorize general manager to sign the grant of easement and agreement for the wet weather extension project with Granada Community Services District and sign a quitclaim previously granted easement for the wet weather storage project. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just a quick background on the wet weather storage expansion project. This project was approved by the board on August 24th and was awarded to Bay Pacific Pipelines for construction of a 200,000 gallon underground tank for the wet weather storage expansion project. The project has commenced on that date, and then right now the contractor has made a very good progress on the submittals. The submittals have all been approved. There are a few submittals left, but the long lead items like the concrete boxes have already been ordered, and they are expected to arrive in January 2021. The contractor is getting ready to mobilize in January, and work will start full swing, and we are expected to complete it as per schedule by the end of March. Now, as a part of this project, we were required to also get a grant of easement and agreement from Granada Community Services District, for which the legal counsel, both SAM legal counsel as well as GCSD legal counsels have been talking to each other. So the agreements is near completion, I would say. It's almost complete with some minor changes. Probably the councils are working on that. But at this point of time, we thought we should get the board's approval to authorize the general manager to sign the agreement and the other related documents. So if Jeremy would like to add a little more to this, I pass on to Jeremy.
Sure. Yeah, this just allows access. This is mostly just housekeeping. There's also one of the other parts of the recommended action is to have SAM quitclaim back to Granada the prior easement that was granted. Again, just so you don't have redundant easements. Pretty reasonable. Just we don't have the quitclaim yet. I reached out to, had some discussions in the last couple of weeks with Granada's council. So it's just a question of getting those documents final. And so the staff recommendation tonight will allow us to to finalize those documents and not have to come back to the SAM board. Pretty minor administrative kind of agreement we're implementing here. And we just want to make sure that when the contractor is ready to start work, that we have an agreement that allows them to do that. So there may be some additional changes to a couple of minor areas that still need to be made. But for the most part, I know this was previously approved by Granada. We're trying to have an agreement that doesn't have to go back to the Granada board if we can help it. So we're going to work with the existing language to try to get it done here. And I shouldn't say that, to get it done prior to January 6th so the contractor can start work. So the staff's recommendation would just be to approve, to authorize general manager to sign the agreement, allow me to make revisions, minor revisions as needed to ensure that both parties are comfortable, and then quit claim the prior easement back. So that's the recommendation.
Barbara, we couldn't hear you.
I know, I'm sorry. The audio is terrible. I don't know what's going on. It's all crackly and I can't hear anything, which has not happened to me in any other situations. Anyway, I've been trying to fiddle with the audio, so I apologize.
Sound good now.
Well, you sound good.
I'm getting crackling. When you turn your audio back on, Barbara, I hear crackling.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I was told that we need to approve it in substantial form. That just.
What is that? What's that mean?
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
That's what the recommendation is.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And substantial form means there can be minor edits, language, slight changes, but nothing major.
Yeah, I mean, you can change language, but the substance needs to remain fundamentally the same. And so there's a couple, like in paragraph 18, we may need to tweak it a little bit, but yes, I think Director Dye has adequately captured what it needs to be done.
Good.
I move the staff recommendation.
Second.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Rick. And I want to thank staff and GCSD for working well on this so we can get this project going. Hooray, hooray. And it's been such a dry winter so far, but I hear it's going to be getting quite a bit wetter. So I'm actually thankful for a dry winter right now. Maybe next year we'll have more. Roll call vote, please.
Oh, can I make a comment, please?
Please.
There are two construction easements involved here. One is for the actual construction and the other is ongoing for maintenance of the facility. And in the staff memo, that second one is described as a temporary easement. And then when it's described on at point 1B of the actual document, it's not called either temporary or permanent. But when you get down to point number 5, it says it's a perpetual easement so that SAM personnel can get on the property and maintain it. So I just want to point out that those things don't quite add up. And so we have to make sure that it's recognized that this is not a temporary easement for maintenance, but a permanent
easement.
one, in fact.
That's a good comment, Director Clark. I'll take that back to council for Renata. That's an easy cleanup.
Yeah.
Good. Roll call vote, please.
Director Penrose,
Yes.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Lohman,
Yes.
Director Radek,
Yes.
Director Dye,
Yes.
Chair Slater Carter.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Good. And we are now done with the regular business. Last regular business of the year, and it's a good start to the new year. Moving on to general manager's report. Keishan.
Yep, we've got the manager's report in the packet. If there are any questions, staff is here to answer. But before we go there, I would request Tim to address what we had like a SSO of category 3 today in Montana area. Tim will talk a little bit about it so that the board is aware. Over to Tim.
Over to me.
Yes, please.
So it was about 11 o'clock this morning. We got a call down at the end of Vermont Street in the 200 block of Vermont Street about a backup, and we zipped out there right away. And by the time we got there, the homeowners had popped their cleanout cap off to prevent everything from going inside their house. Unfortunately, some of the sewage had already gotten inside their house, flooded a couple of the bathrooms, and Went down the hallway a little bit and a couple of the bedrooms. It sounds like, yeah, it's not as bad as Nan Scott, so that's a good thing. We were able to get it stopped pretty quick, and so it wasn't horrible. The remediation company came out this afternoon. They have humidifiers in there currently, and they'll be out again tomorrow to check the moisture content around the baseboards and everything. And that's about the size of it right now.
What caused this?
Well, we're not 100% positive right now. I mean, I didn't get back to the plant, and Tony didn't get back to the plant until almost 3 o'clock this afternoon, after being out there a good portion of the day dealing with it. It was a big root ball, and we're not sure if it was something that happened. Tony said there was a lateral repair not far up the street on Vermont. So we're not sure if this is an end result from the lateral repair.
Who did the lateral repair?
I just found out about that this afternoon after I got back to the office, because where they had just cleaned that area, I believe, last month, and where that root ball area was, it was a drop manhole. I don't know if you're familiar with drop manholes, probably not. They have a high hole and a low hole. So the high hole is where everything goes. And that's an interesting picture. The high hole, sometimes things will get stuck there, and that's what happened. I have pictures that I can send the pictures and everything to Clemens tomorrow after we get done putting everything together. But it looked like a good section of roots, and it almost does look like it's something that came from a lateral repair, but we can't say with we can't say with certainty that's what it was. I know the guys had just cleaned that whole area, the upper part of that area, the lower part of the area. That was one section that was sort of shifted off till next year. And the whole sort of balancing act of reducing the cost of cleaning and doing sort of part of the section and moving lines around. So the lower section of that neighborhood, they hadn't gotten to. So that was kind of a sucky thing. But yeah, so we'll know more tomorrow. I don't know if, I'm sure Clemens or someone at Montero probably knows who the contractor was, but we'll see if we can find some of that information and put it in the report before we send it out.
Okay, well, I'll be interested to see the report. Those poor people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you handled it well and managed to get remediation in so they don't have to move out of their house.
Yeah, we got everything squared away pretty quick. Luckily, the guy that lives there is actually a plumber, so he had a pretty good idea what to do right away. And the upside was, by the time we got there really quick, like I said, and we were able to put an earthen dam in the gutter before any of the water got to the marine reserve or anything like that, because that would have been a whole nother I would probably still be at work if it had gotten into the marine reserve.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a nightmare.
Although, for Sam and for MWSD, it would have been terrible. But there's been a thread going on next door about people going into the Marine Reserve and just hauling out buckets. And then Barbara started. And I'd love to be able to post signs that say, polluted, do not eat the food, do not take the food.
Well, it's not the Marine Reserve I'm talking about. It's Pillar Point, which is outside the reserve. But
oh, it is.
Point.
Okay. I had gotten a little confused, but anyway. Good. Well, thank you. Thank you for your hard work on that.
Yes. Thank you, Tim. And thanks everybody there. I have questions
yes.
on the manager's report. Remember when I was noticing that in the flow distribution,
Yep.
I thought all the flows everything went up after a rain, but I noticed that both GCSD and MWSD don't seem to change their level of use flow at all after the rain, at least in this month.
It depends on the volume of rain, for one. It depends on the moisture content. So if it's direct inflow, and if you're suffering from direct inflow, then yes. If it's infiltration, then it's groundwater saturation. That's going to come up. So until the groundwater saturation comes up, you're not going to see elevated flows. But I thought there was a bump in flow in the rains. It might not have been a big bump because there wasn't a lot of rain.
Right.
But I thought there was a little bump.
When there's rain. But it looks like Half Moon Bay actually goes down right before it rains and then goes up. Anyway, I'm just curious about that. Maybe it's something that I'm gonna look at in the next report, just because I was under the impression that all the flows went way up after the rain, and it doesn't look like they do.
Yeah, Catherine. Yeah, I just think, we've been dry for so long, as Tim was saying, before we have serious infiltration, everything has to get waterlogged out there. And I think the ground just probably soaked up this half an inch or whatever we got.
Oh,
So
half an inch, yeah.
we'll have to wait, get some serious rains before we have to see the actual effects.
And Montera got 1/100th of an inch of rain last night, and it would have a third of an inch had been forecast. So it's hard to tell what's going on here. I do hear there's quite a few storms moving in. Knock on wood, keep our fingers crossed. Anyway, any other parts to the manager's report? Keishan,
Okay.
any other points to add to the manager's report? Okay.
Nothing. I'm just waiting. If there are any questions, we are here to answer.
Okay, moving on to the attorney's report.
We'll have some closed sessions for discussion tonight, but I have no additional report to make other than the closed session items.
Okay, director's report. Do we have any reports from any of the directors? Rick, yes. You have no report because your mic is off. Okay.
Trying so hard to do thumbs down saying I have no reports. But now I'll do it vocally and I still have no reports.
Oh, good. That's so clear. Topics for future board consideration. When are we going to be talking about Dan's contract?
I have received his proposal just last week, so I'll probably bring it up in the first meeting in January.
Okay. Something that was brought up tonight at the operations committee meeting was last week you had received Dan's report only an hour prior to the meeting, and nobody would have had time to read it or really understand it. It was presented in a PowerPoint right then and there. I would like to talk about having if we need to talk about it or just do it, but have a policy that if any of our consultants or other folks are going to be presenting information on our meetings, that you should have a chance to review it first, Keishan, so that and get it out to the board if necessary with adequate time. So you should be able to send it out to, I don't know, I'll look for input from the board, but send it to the board at least 3 days in advance. And if anybody sends you a report that you can't send out 3 days in advance, then it should be postponed until the next meeting.
Yeah, typically we do attach the report in the board packet, but this was a PowerPoint which Dan had prepared, and he had sent it just an hour before, so we could not review it and send it to everybody else. So
right.
Exactly. So I will ensure that any presentation by consultants is also possibly sent as a part of the packet.
Yes, and you have a chance to review it and edit it as well. I was concerned about some of the things that Dan raised in that report and would have preferred to have things stated more clearly.
Okay.
Right.
Could we get a copy of his proposal sent out to all the board members also?
Yes, I will send that out well in advance.
Kishan, when does his contract expire? It's December 31st, correct?
Yes, his contract expires December 31st, so he is giving a consolidated report of what has been done during the term of the contract, what all is done. So that report is going to be there in the next board packet. Along with that, I would also present his proposal for the next year.
Is he proposing a bridge contract that would at least make sure there's no gap?
No, the proposal, actually he is planning on doing part-time for next year. So he's just doing it project-based. So he's identified 2 projects and has given his proposal for 2 projects. So it's not like an organizational improvement proposal which he had given last year. So these are project-based.
As part of this, Kishan, I'd like to have your thoughts on how Dan, how well and adequately Dan performed the projects and proposals that he made last year, and I'd like to have that as a kind of a closed session for the board to be able to review, since this is an employee kind of issue before we discuss his contract.
Okay.
I'd like to get your point of view on this. I have my own, but you've been working most closely with him.
Sure, we can have that as a closed session item in the next meeting.
To legal counsel, would that qualify under the Brown Act for closed session?
To discuss the contract?
Yeah.
Certain aspects, I believe, would. So the contract itself would need to be approved in open session, but to the extent that some of the services deal with response to areas of potential legal liability, they could be discussed in closed session.
I just think we ought to be straight on that before going into closed session about what we can talk about, what we can't.
Yeah, I think we can talk a little bit about that. We've actually have a closed session tonight where I think we can address that issue a little further.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any other items, Barbara, to put on to discuss for the future?
I just wanted to say, I went and found this nice chart that the Finance Committee worked out for the schedule for the budget.
That you did, Barbara. I'll give you full credit. You were wonderful.
Together on it, though, was modified with a lot by feedback from everybody.
Yes.
And we're already behind schedule. So I'd just like us to think about when we're going to address the CIP, which we all agreed needed to come first. I'm just excited to looking forward to seeing that come through because I think it's really important. So can't wait.
I think that should be an item on the next agenda too.
Yeah, certainly next couple.
Yep.
That's all.
Good, thank you. All right, let's take a recess and convene in closed session at 7:33. How about at 7:40 or sooner when everybody's on screen?